What is happening, family? Welcome to the Arrington Gavin Show. I'm your guy, Arrington Gavin. And yes, you are tuning into the Arrington Gavin Show, your go-to spot for sharp insights, bold opinions, and unfiltered takes on the biggest stories of the day. Whether it's politics, pop culture, sports, or the latest buzz, we're diving deep and keeping it real. So kick back, stay informed, and get ready to join the conversation. On today's program, I'm honored to have Councilman Chris Taylor. He's a councilman in Virginia Beach, representing District 8. He's currently a candidate for Virginia Beach City Mayor as well. Very excited to have this conversation with him. It is a very packed race. I'm looking at the list of candidates. It's right at 6 individuals, which is I would say pretty rare on a local race. But this is a very interesting one. A lot of candidates are well respected, like my guest Chris Taylor, and I'm very excited to have him on and just to speak more on his platform. And y'all know here on the program, I talk a lot how important it is to get involved in it, have more of an understanding when it comes to local politics. It's very easy. We always talk about, the federal level this, the federal level that, what we see on TV, but you have to understand of what's going on in your own backyard. So I always make it a mission of mine to always bring on and speak with the local candidates involving whatever city or state you're in, whether it's, my home state of Virginia, or whether if you're in Georgia, whether if you're in, Texas, anywhere. So very excited to have Councilman on for a great conversation. But before I do that, of course, I just thank you all for joining for another great episode of the Arrington Gavin Show. You can listen to this platform available via podcast, wherever you get your podcast, whether that's iHeart, Spotify, you name it, on all the digital airwaves, as well as radio airwaves on WDJY 99.1 FM out of Dallas, Georgia, as well as WDJYFM.com. You can also watch this program or via YouTube and Rumble. Our YouTube channel is R Smooth Club Media, the letter R Smooth Club Media. So please share, subscribe, leave us a comment. We truly appreciate that, as well as on Rumble at the Arrington Gavin Show. And you can follow us on Instagram at the Arrington Gavin Show. From there, I'll do some live, just keep you up to speed, stuff that I can't fit in 1 hour program. But again, you can catch us on so many different platforms. And again, shout out to WDJY 99.1 FM, where you can tune into the Arrington Gavin Show weeknights at 11 p.m. on their station out of Dallas, Georgia. So let's see what we have going on further. Since I want to give all the time to my guest, Councilman Taylor, I'll start off, guys, by giving the fun fact of the day, a new segment we've been starting lately. And the fun fact of the day, if you didn't know, let me bring it. Where's my fun fact? Okay. The world's oldest dog lived to be 29 and a half years old. Fun fact, very true. While the median age a dog reaches tends to be about 10 to 15 years, one Australian cattle dog named Bluey survived to the ripe old age of 29 and a half years old. Now, let me tell you something. The oldest dog I've ever seen in person was my aunt's dog. Trixie was a beagle. I think Trixie had to be maybe 18 years old. And Trixie was on his last leg. Let me tell you something. Trixie started losing sight, the back, everything. I'm like, good gracious, Trixie, you still alive? Like, you was alive before I was born. But hey, you gotta love it, because I don't know, man. It's just for people that continue to take care of their pets. I mean, I know now, man, it's like pets have their own insurance. They have their own rooms. They're on the wheel. They have their own bathrooms at airports now. I'm telling you, dogs get treated sometimes. They're probably worth more than me. Shoot, I know my dog is. My little Cavachon Carter, we spoil him to death. Also, I would like to shout out to some supporters of the Arrington Gavin Show, like Ingenious Gin. Ingenious Gin is a Black-owned, veteran-owned spirit for all you gin connoisseurs, gin explorers out there. Hey, looking for a great spirit to add to the collection. I highly recommend Ingenious Gin. It's a rose gold color, which the average gin is normally clear. And look, I'm more of a bourbon and whiskey guy myself, but my friends Lawrence and Reggie, who are actually part owners of this brand, they turned me into a gin lover, and that's the only gin I will ever drink. So I highly recommend to try them out. Go ahead and visit your local spirit stores or ABC stores, and or you can go online at www.ingeniousgin.com. And please do me a favor, drink responsibly. If you're 21, if you're not 21, then don't even don't even think about it. If you're 21 or over, hey, check it out. It's very, very sharp, very good. And again, hey, we support our veterans. It's a veteran-owned and Black-owned spirit as well. Let's see who else I got to thank. Let's see who else I got to thank before I move on. Okay. Bernardo's Menswear. Shout out to Mr. Bernardo Johnson, a dear friend of mine. He keeps you looking swagged out from head to toe, whether it's business casual or formal. He has the threads that I'm telling you it'll work for anybody. Shoes, accessories, slack suits, custom suits as well. I'm telling you, he has everything you need. For more information about that, you can visit his website, www.bernardomenswear.com. And if you happen to be in the Hampton Roads, Virginia area, visit him in person at his shop located in the MacArthur Mall, first floor in the heart of downtown Norfolk, and tell him Arrington sent you. So again, want to keep y'all swagged out, looking sharp. Whether if you have a local function or anything like that, you got to make sure the wardrobe's looking fresh. Make sure the wardrobe is looking fresh. All right, my friends. Well, what we're going to do is we're going to take one quick commercial break. When we come back, I'll have on Councilman Taylor, district representing District 8 in Virginia Beach, but is also candidate running for mayor of the city of Virginia Beach. So I'm very excited to have him on. So don't go anywhere, my friends, and please don't change that dial.
Become a man of distinction with Rugged Evolution Beard Care. Order our scented beard oils and beard balms to help you maintain and grow the perfect beard. Order today. Try our men's care products like the full body exfoliating cleansing bars, body wash, smooth stash, and more. Log on to our website or download our app to place your orders. Rugged Evolution Beard Care. We're your luxury but affordable men's care line. And remember,
rugged is the new smooth.
Welcome back, my friends. Welcome back. Well, without further ado, as I mentioned before, I'm excited to have a special guest on today's show, Councilman Chris Taylor. Let's bring him on. Oh, Councilman, how you doing, sir?
Good afternoon. Good to be here.
Awesome. Well, look, Councilman, before we move forward on your platform and reason for running and all that great stuff, man, please share with the audience just a little bit about Chris Taylor. Let's separate the local official and let's tell a little more about your story about Chris Taylor, if you don't mind.
Yeah, well, again, thank you for having me on the show. My name's Taylor. I'm a native of Virginia Beach, Virginia. The only reason I'm a politician is because I won an election. But I was just a blue collar resident prior to. Family has been in the Virginia Beach, Princess Anne County area for over 200 years. My mother's grandmother, which would have been my great grandmother, was born in 1909, and her mother in 1870, and all in Princess Anne County. They had no rights, and they were able to buy land in 1918 because they were working for some of the most affluent families. If you've heard of the Francis Land House, my great-great-grandmother was the first African-American, Indian, Native American to work in the house post-Emancipation Proclamation. Wow. My mom and her sisters integrated Kings Grant in the early 60s. And I've heard kind of the narrative that, it's too quick to run and, now's not a good time. And my family's always been told it's not a good time. My Aunt Sandy, Barry Copeland, again, who helped integrate Kings Grant, was the first African-American female student athlete at Virginia Tech in 1979, well before many of the athletes that we know. And so I come from a family of trailblazers. I come from, my father was born in SeaTac. And so I have my father, who was born in the oldest Black community in the United States. And then my mother, who has roots back to prior to 1800s. And so born and raised here, attended elementary, middle school, high school, played basketball at First Colonial High School, class of 2002 state city champion team basketball. One of my teammates was State Senator Aaron Rouse. So I'm a local here, attended college at Virginia Wesleyan College, now University, studied business management, but also was a student athlete. Won conference championship in 2005, the first for Coach Macedo, and graduated in 2006. After that, went into the real estate business, worked in the multifamily business for some major local organizations. By age 23, I was managing roughly 1,200 apartment units, a couple $100 million, and had 70 employees. So always been business minded, but I wasn't making a lot of money. And so my great grandmother, who was still alive at the time, she said, if you can do it for them, do it for yourself. She said, the organization you're in doesn't have a glass ceiling, it's concrete, and you need to get out from under it. And fortunately, I had a friend that had gone to VMI and was working at DuPont Corporation, a Fortune 100 multinational global organization. Got recruited, and within 28 months of working for DuPont in one of their smallest organizations, which was doing roughly $900 million annually, was honored to be one of the top 10% of salespeople in the world. And again, my great grandmother said, if you can do it for them, do it for yourself. So I put in a 2-week notice and took care of her from 99 until 105 years of age. When she passed away, I met my wife actually at her funeral, because my great grandmother's pastor was my great grandmother's pastor was my wife's grandfather. And so met her. We got married. 2015. So I'm married to Kimberly Gregory Taylor. We've been married 9 years. We have 3 children, Caleb, Christian, and baby Charlotte, who's 13 months old. Started a business in 2018 from scratch, Smoothie Stop Cafe. We were the first small business retail restaurant to have a kiosk at a Pembroke Mall. And from there, we expanded to the One Life Fitness Center by 2836 Virginia Beach Boulevard. And over the course of 3 years, even during COVID, we were able to scale that business to 6 locations. So I'm a small business, former small business owner. I did step away last year to focus on city council and prepare to run. So I'm a local, I'm a native, educated in our school system, college educated here right in the city of Virginia Beach, came back, started a business, and I'm raising my children here. So I have deep roots here, and I plan to stay here for as long as the good Lord has me on this earth.
Wow, man, that is awesome. That's all. And look, I have to say, because I will, I'm a upfront. I love conversation. I will say, Councilman Taylor, I was one of those. I guess I wouldn't call them critics, because it was nothing permanent. It was nothing against you. But as far as the timing is concerned, right? I remember I had the opportunity to interview you when you were running for council, and had a great conversation with you, and was very, admired, right? I was very, very impressed, and I'm a resident of Chesapeake, so I couldn't have any ties on supporting you in Virginia Beach, but I definitely rooting for you from afar. And when I elected in 2022, so it'll be, what would it be, almost like 2 years for you in city council in Virginia Beach?
It'll be 2 years at the end of this year. Yes, sir.
At the end of this year. So for me, I'm like, okay, and don't get me wrong, I'm a believer of like stock value, like political stock value, right? When I use like the sports analogy, when an athlete is doing has a fire season his freshman year, most of the time, the NBA prospect, the stock value goes up, and they're like, well, do you sure you want to continue? Or if you leave your freshman year, then you're liable to be, number 1 pick, contracts galore, this and that. And it's like, no, I think I'll stay a little longer. So hey, the next year is always a gamble. So I say that to say that I'm a person that always believes in, okay, like, finish out the term, and you're taking a risk, right? Because running for office, win or lose, you resign from your position as city councilman. So I would like to ask, because I've said it many times on this program, and now that I have you here, I would love to ask you the question: the timing. Why pursue the mayoral race now? Why what made you want to pursue running for higher office, since you're still considered very new to city council, not to the city of Virginia Beach, but just new to city council?
And that's a great question. I appreciate the background. I think part of my first platform was civility and collaboration. And I think oftentimes we make assumptions, but if you don't take the time to speak with someone and ask them questions, then you have to assume or presume. My goal in 2012, I wrote down that I would run for mayor in the city of Virginia Beach one day. But with that, there came a business. There came my career at DuPont, which I was traveling 70 nights a year. I coached basketball in Virginia Beach public schools for 7 years. So I didn't just pop up and start, want to become a politician. I coached recreation league for 7 years in the city. I helped some other politicians. I won't say their name. I helped them when they were looking to get started into politics in terms of meeting people and introducing them to certain individuals. So I always had a goal of running for mayor. What happened was in 2021, I was approached by several political figures, and I shared with them that my goal was to run for mayor. And their response was, "There's never been a mayor in the city of Virginia Beach that did not run for city council first." And so if you understand business, if you understand, family, there's steps. And so I took that wisdom. I read a book that really encouraged the reader to get a political old hand, which is basically someone that's been around a long time. And as I spoke to those old hands, they did acknowledge there's never been an individual in the city of Virginia Beach that has run for mayor that wasn't on council. And so what people don't understand, that was always a goal. I listened, running a very competitive district. The gentleman that held the seat was named the godfather of Virginia Beach, Lewis Jones, rest in peace. And I went and met with him, and he's the first person that had ever come to him in 40 years and told him I was going to run against him. And he said he respected me for that. And so I had signed up, to run against someone that was the former vice mayor, a former mayor, a sitting councilman for plus 25 plus years. But that didn't move me because, again, I told you my background. I come from a family that survived in Princess Anne County and thrived in the early 1900s, and a father that grew up in SeaTac and was able to get out of that community, meet a wife, have 2 children. My older brother was the first person on my dad's side of the family to get a college degree. So for our family, taking challenges, stepping forward, that wasn't something that was odd. It was part of our life. So I ran for city in a district that is 87% Caucasian. It's the least diverse district in the city of Virginia Beach. One of the most, and I was able to win 14 out of, and no other candidate was able to do that. I had another Republican in the race, and I also had a Democrat that was recruited actually by our Commissioner of Revenue, Phil Kellum, and outraised 3-1, and was still able to win every single precinct. And so that told me that, number one, I had a lot of support. I won by the largest margin, over 2,700 votes. That for anyone sitting on council. And so for me, that was encouraging, and it also showed me that my message resonated, and then it was time to go to work. And so once I won and began serving and transition from campaigning, I realized really some of the challenges that were here in our city. And because I had a goal to run for mayor, I started thinking about, what does that look like? Do I sit in this seat for 4 years? I step away from my family. I don't want to run for delegate. I don't want to be a state senator. I don't want to go to Congress. I want to go home at night and eat dinner with my family. I have 3 young children. And so as I looked at the landscape, spoke with Mayor Dyer, and he encouraged me. Actually, he said, "I don't blame you for doing this. I would do the same thing." So it wasn't without getting knowledge. It wasn't without going and getting feedback. When the incumbent mayor sits you down and tells you that you all have bridges to build together and that I was doing the right thing, that changes the narrative of, here he is trying to hop to a new position or climb the ladder. I don't want to, run for the next highest seat in Richmond or DC. But as for my home city, my hometown, and having a goal since 2012 to run for mayor, the timing was good, and I was being encouraged by the incumbent.
That's awesome. That is awesome. Reading a little bit. One thing I've always admired about you, Councilman, is you're a person who I would say is always, as every official should, you're very passionate about the residents, the community. That's your first and foremost focus, is making sure we're taking care of the people. And I say that because, if you go, when I'm going down your record, and it'll be moments where it's like, okay, you're a part of the minority group that votes against something that to you it's like, no, it's still not making sense regardless. I mean, sometimes it would be the one. It's funny because I'm pulling up this article reported by Yahoo Finance, and this was a previous article, and it's titled, let me get it right here. Virginia Beach adopts a $2.6 billion budget, cutting taxes and increasing city worker pay. Now, obviously, if people just read that headline, they're like, well, what in the world? Who's the person that will vote against this? But then when you actually read the fine print and understand it, it's funny because I myself agree with you. I'm looking at this. I'm like, okay, the budget includes a 2-cent reduction in real estate tax. Now, I'll be honest. If I received a 2% raise, how would somebody feel about that? Like, let's be honest, 2 cents not going to do nothing. So it's a total waste. So again, I respect that about you, Councilman, because everybody can say, well, I'm just going to go with the group instead of not really doing what my initial mission was, running for office. I want to make sure and now that Virginia Beach is a district system, you're looking out for your district as well. So I just want to give you your flowers with that, because I always feel like you're a person that's just for the people. You're not trying to please any specific party line group, even though I know you have your political beliefs, but it's just, I feel it's people over politics in a sense, right? And that's what I'm always been passionate about. I've always been a middleman, never really been married to any party. I respect people on all sides, but I always will say, like, look, you got to look out for the people first and what you're there, because at the end of the day, you're a public servant, for the community. But I want to digress from that and move on. You said that you've always had a goal to run for mayor, and I'm assuming that's regardless if the city's doing great or if it's bad. But what initially, why was that a goal of yours to run for the city of Virginia Beach?
So again, I think there's so many people in Virginia Beach that have moved here, and so you forget that there's locals, there's natives that grew up when Great Neck Rec Center had a bowling alley, when basketball courts were filled because we didn't have cell phones, when you went to the park, when you rode your bike. I've seen our city grow. I've seen the growth. Again, we've been here for so long. If I didn't see it, I have articles from where my great grandmother's home was the first to get assistance from the city because it was falling down, and there were no resources for that type of community. So the first motive to run for office was, I looked around, and you brought up my district. I think it's important. I have to be responsive and do my homework, because my district produced 20% of the vote total in 2022 and had the highest voter turnout. So these are individuals that are affluent. They're many retired. They're professionals. They own large businesses. They have time to know the issues, read the issues. I had a gentleman that reached out on the Bayfront. He was a former C-suite executive for Norfolk Southern. I can't just ignore his phone call. I can't just give him an answer that I made up. I have to be thorough. So for me, the first motivation was so that's a concern. I remember being on a mission trip in Fiji, and I would go into these villages, and you had to meet with the chief first and ask, could you enter the village? And one of the first villages we entered in Fiji, we're sitting down Indian style with the chief, and he looks at this young boy that's 3 years old, and he says, that's a warrior. He's the future. So in most civilized organizations, in most structured businesses, in many high net worth families, there is a plan to pass down something. There's a plan to transition the leadership. And so in our city, prior to my election, we had one person on city council that was an African-American male. We had 2 people under the age of 40, and we're a city of 450,000 people. So demographics not really represented. of the individuals we say we want to recruit. We want young families with children that are going to, stay, go to college, and come back. Well, if 80% of your council doesn't represent the demographic you're trying to attract, who's going to speak to them? And so I didn't see the youth. I didn't see a diversity of thought. When we talk about my candidacy and my qualifications, I've worked in affordable housing. I think I'm the only candidate that has experience in the apartment business. That's one of our major issues. I've run nonprofit after urban culture centers, Title I communities. I've coached. I've taken care of 6 years. I've seen the issues seniors have. I've started a small business without a trust fund from scratch and had to work with landlords and negotiate and find someone to build it. I've had to manage a budget where if you only made $100 a day in that smoothie store, you couldn't spend $130. I've started a family. I mean, these are all some of the main issues that we're dealing with. And so I looked at my strengths, I looked at my weaknesses, and then I said, I have some things that I could all reach. And I was fortunate enough to win the election, which proved that people got my message.
No, I totally agree with what you're saying. I think that's why, Councilman, so many people, again, from all sides of the aisle have respect for you. Because I've spoken with Republicans that love you. I've spoken with Democrats that love you and that are voting for you. That have said, "Oh no, I like Chris. I really do." And that's the thing, because what you just shared is just being relatable, right? Being people, you can relate to a lot of individuals from all different classes. I think now, what turns people away from politics is that they see a lot of successful wigs that either might have been born already into with the silver spoon, or they haven't been, I'll just say, they haven't seen a hard time period for ages, for years, right? So they're like, well, how can they relate to us, right? It's just unmade promises being met, and I'm tired of it. But I to add on to what you were saying, and what I was listening is, you are, and I would say you prefer, or you enjoy, like the district system or the ward system for local cities. And I wanted to ask you that because I'm a resident of Chesapeake. I've been a lifelong Chesapeake resident. We have our own issues kind of going on right now, trying to push for at least somewhat of a district and a ward system. And this is a bipartisan thing that a lot of people on both sides of the aisle are pushing for. But again, our council is they're iffy about it and stuff like that. Would you say, Councilman, that it benefits a local city to have a district system so that each area can have their specific representative?
So I think there's upsides and downsides. I was supportive of 10-1. I don't think 10-1 American Indian person in a district that's 87% white. I mean, I didn't get the NAACP endorsement. They didn't know I was black until after the election, because they said there was a black Chris Taylor in district. So, I mean, that goes to show you that I didn't win because of, diluted voting in District 8. But I could understand that concern because my mom and her sisters integrated Kings Grant. I understand because I had a family history that my great-grandmother told me about the 20s, the 30s, the 40s. When I asked her about the Great Depression, she said it was all depression. Some people in this county. And so I think there are benefits to the 10-1. It did help to elect the youngest and most diverse city council ever in the history of Virginia Beach. But again, if you just look at data, and you know me as a candidate and as a councilman, I'm very data driven about facts. I had a Caucasian woman who was a Republican, and then I had a Democratic former Navy captain, Caucasian man, that outraised me 4-1, and I won by 2,700 votes and won every precinct. So the 10-1, had I been able to go in a 7-4 or a 7-3-1 district, I would have got more support across because my family, the people I coached, the kids I coached, the people I worked with that may have been African American or Asian or Indian American or Hispanic, they couldn't vote for me because my district didn't include them. And so I see the benefits of opening it up and making sure that our civil rights are protected. But I
Mhm.
also the reality of I don't know if that was the reason I won. And
Mhm.
so I have empathy. I can understand that we have to protect civil rights, that we have to be fair, there has to be integrity. But the reason I support 10-1 is not because it helped me get elected in a district that is 4% African American.
Mhm. Mhm. No, very very fair, very fair. And the question I wasn't trying to ask for it to say to benefit you as you alone, but just as far as like for for residents, right? Residents who are trying to get in contact with. But I totally agree with the point that you just made, and a very fair point as well. I want to speak more on your platform. Virginia Beach is probably the top premier city in the state of Virginia. I know population wise, it's the largest city in Virginia. Second is Chesapeake. I mean, I'm still trying to work them numbers. I'm still trying to understand why y'all number. No, I'm joking. But but you have so much bring so much tourism to the area. You have festivals galore, which I want to I want to ask, like, does the festivals get a little bit overwhelming in the city? Because it's like I feel like every weekend it's a festival happening. But hey, y'all have the funds, y'all have the space to provide it. I think it's dope. But um let's speak on, like, economic development. How do you plan to attract new businesses and support existing ones that are currently in the city of Virginia Beach?
So I mean that's a good question. It depends. Are we talking about small businesses, large businesses?
I would say
I'm a believer.
mhm.
As a small business owner, I know when we were introduced to the former director of economic development, and the first thing he said was, "We can't do anything for you. There's no money for you."
Mm,
And my wife and I looked at each other like, "Well, what was the point of having the meeting?" Um, I mean, we have small business owners. 99%, 98% of our businesses in Virginia Beach are 100 employees or less. They're small businesses,
mm,
and so we don't do enough to support those businesses that are closing at a higher rate than they're opening. Think about that. And
mm,
so we don't have any 100, 200, 300, 400, or 500 companies in the city of Virginia Beach. Think about that. And so economic development has to really be balanced. Economic development for me is not giving away millions of dollars to private organizations that then they don't benefit the public. And
mhm,
so we really look at where are our dollars going and what is it supporting. And as a councilman, I voted to ensure that if we're going to spend a dollar of the public, we should get a dollar and 1 cent back. We shouldn't be investing in festivals and then getting 30 cents on the dollar. That's not
mm,
a good as a small business owner, and it's not good economic development policy. As an example, let's look at the Atlantic Park development. It is a project that the public was told would be $70 million in economic development investment. It's ballooned to $150 million. And the only thing the citizens of Virginia Beach will own is a parking garage and an event space that doesn't anticipate to make a profit until 7 years after being open. Would you do your $150? No. And
not at
so
all.
that project had a 10-0 vote. 10 council members said this is a good idea. Now, Arrington, the concern with that approach to economic development is on the record, they're on the record, none of them read the economic impact study that was done. So they didn't
Mm,
look at placement of apartments. They didn't look at retail rates. I mean, I grew a business from 1 to 6 locations across 3 cities. So you look at displacement of the retail, you look
mhm,
at these and occupancies for the apartments. I was in the apartment business. I understand lease up. I understand the military's role in terms of BAH and how that impacts rents. They didn't look at any of that. They said it's a wonderful project to put a wave pool across the street from an ocean. As a result of taxpayer money could have been used. Imagine if we get every small business owner that had been in business for 12 months could show their receipts. What if we gave them $10,000 each? What would that do
more
in
fair.
terms of economic development right to the actual districts that would benefit? And to close on that question, as someone that prides themselves in doing their homework, I worked directly with the city manager and our commissioner of revenue to produce a report that showed district revenue for food and beverage and taxes and business. District 8 last year produced $150 million in food and beverage sales.
Wow.
None of that went back to the district, but almost $3 million went into the tip fund at the oceanfront. We need a mayor and a leader that understands that that doesn't make sense, because District 10 doesn't have roads and doesn't have sidewalks that have been repaired. District 9, other side of Shore Drive, Councilman Schulman, has no sidewalks, no crosswalks. District 4 Town Center has some areas with no crosswalks, beautification, no flowers in the flower beds. You're telling me that these small business owners that are sacrificing their life savings, their time, are producing hundreds of millions of dollars, and we send it to the oceanfront to make horrible investment decisions into a wave park? That's not the future we need.
Look, I couldn't agree with you more on that one. Is funny. I couldn't help myself but laugh, because a wave park set like literally a few steps away from an actual beach, and I'm like, isn't Ocean Breeze not that far? So don't they have a wave park? I mean, again, I look at a lot of stuff as, okay, is it just like, are you tossing a little bit too much? Is it getting a little overbearing? Because I always look out for small business owners. I myself am a small business owner. I know how difficult it is to keep a business up, especially if it's retail, because I know the price of retail per square footage right now, with rates being pretty expensive, is difficult. So I totally understand, if the math is not math, then don't pursue it, because it's not making sense in this case. As far as with the public safety aspect, now Virginia Beach, to my knowledge, I mean, is always pretty, could do better, but it's pretty good when it comes to public safety and crime. But what does your platform have as far as, or continuing to do to help make sure that your community is safe, and that people won't have to worry about, hey, if their kids wants to play at a local park, they don't have to be like, oh no, we got to watch them or be in by a certain time. What does your platform provide for that, Councilman?
I think you have to look at safety in a welcoming spirit. We do have a fairly safe city, yet we do have areas that need support. So I was a big proponent of not looking at safety as just neighborhoods and communities where there's gun violence, but when you look at District 8, I've been to 3 hospitals in the past 6 months for drug overdoses. So clearly there's a public safety issue as it relates to mental health and drug use. But we don't have any parks after dark or the suburban communities that are burying 18-year-old valedictorian children with 4.2 GPAs. And so public safety has to be abroad. It has to look at the lower income, the mid income, and even the higher income, because at the end of the day, if your child leaves the house, whether you're in Bayside or Great Neck, you want them to come home that night. And so I will continue to support our police, our fire. I was the only council member to bring up that our EMS had asked for assistance with getting new ambulances that were on back order. It was going to be $400,000 a piece, and our council passed the buck. They said, not this year. So we can spend millions over here for a parking garage. We can spend millions over here for the wave pool. We can spend $1 million over here for a developer. But our EMS comes to us and says they need 5 ambulances and we need to order them today. And we say, not this time. And so I'm going to continue to support the individuals that protect us. That leads into collective bargaining. I get a bad rap on the left for voting against collective bargaining, yet many on council didn't understand what it was. We didn't know what position we were in terms of wages. If you ask Mayor Dyer, he gives me credit for really leading the council to enter into and doing another market survey salary. Again, it's too logical, but why would you enter into a bargain if you don't know your position? Why would we enter into, giving raises like we did in the step plan, but yet you leave 30 or 40% of the people that don't get to tap out at 25 years? We have to look at public safety, the health of our entire community, not just one aspect of it. And so our police budget is over $100 million. Most people don't know that. That's larger than many municipalities, Arrington.
Very true. Very true.
And so we're doing an incredible job. We need to continue to do a good job. But I'm also talking to the manager on a monthly basis about our overtime. We had a festival, the Odyssey Festival, had less than 3,500 tickets sold, $750 $100,000 in cash to the organizer. The parent company had just filed for bankruptcy, and I go to the festival, park my car, and I'm walking down 31st Street, and I hit the sidewalk at the Hilton in the gazebo, and there's over 30 uniformed officers. And I sent an email to the manager and said, "We may be safe, but I don't feel welcome."
Wow.
And then I further investigated Arrington and asked specific questions. We had over $250,000 of overtime that weekend. Yet the following weekend with Jackalope and the Jamaica and the Caribbean Festival and reggae, we had less than $100,000 in income. So was security and safety based on race? Was it based on the demographic? Was it based on music? Because with 3,500 people, $300,000 in overtime, that wasn't a successful show. But the next weekend we were sold out and had thousands of people, and I didn't see a sheriff. I didn't see a police.
Wow. That's that's crazy. That's crazy. Look, before we take a quick commercial break, Councilman, I want to ask, because you mentioned about the multiple festivals that Virginia Beach has. Now I've been to a couple. Obviously, I've been to the Something in the Water, which is probably one of the most talked about ones because it's founded by a local native, and Pharrell Williams, very successful entrepreneur, musician. And what's your take on the festivals that Virginia Beach puts on? Like, I have nothing against it, by the way. I just think sometimes, like, wow, I feel like every day or every weekend is like a new festival. I mean, can you stretch it out? Is it a little too much for the people, for residents that might live closer towards the ocean front? I mean, I guess it gives them something to do, but what's your take just on all these festivals? I mean, I feel like each and every day there's a new one. Oh man, there was a country music festival. I'm losing my thought on the name of it, but a Beach It, I think it was the Beach It Festival. Yeah. So what's your take with all these festivals, coming to Virginia Beach?
Again, we have people that come here every year. We have 400,000 people that live here. We have an asset running the beach that is one of the best. The problem I have is there's no strategic approach. If we're going to have bulls and barrels, but then we have beach, wouldn't you combine that, because it's a demographic? And so separately, they both lost money. Had we put them together and given less money, cash, both of them would have made money. But instead, we had them on separate weekends. I mean, they didn't draw the crowds that they needed to, yet people were happy. When you look at Odyssey in the festival they had, I'm on the record, I'm on the dais saying this is a horrible idea because it's the same weekend as the Boardwalk Art Festival, or which maybe it was Neptune Festival, which was already bringing in. And again, it lost money. And so it's not having festivals, it's sitting down, not with a committee or another state, and going, okay, we have 52 weekends. This is the biggest draw. We need to do something for country. We need to do something for Latinos. We need to do something for the Caribbean and diaspora. We need to do something for jazz. Virginia Beach doesn't have a jazz festival. Think about that. And so I think it's having someone or some individuals that come together and go, what is our strategy? What are we trying to accomplish, instead of just filling dates, because filling dates doesn't work.
I agree on that one, Councilman. Look, don't go anywhere, Councilman. We're going to take a quick commercial break. When we come back, we'll have more here with Councilman Chris Taylor, candidate for mayor of the city of Virginia Beach. We're having a great conversation, speaking a lot about his platform, what's in store for Virginia Beach, but we will continue to talk more on some of his opponents, because it is a packed race. I'm counting about 6 individuals. So don't go anywhere, my friends. Don't change that dial. You're listening to the Arrington Gavin Show. All right, welcome back, my friends, to the Arrington Gavin Show. I'm your host, Arrington Gavin, and joining me is Councilman Chris Taylor, candidate for mayor of the city of Virginia Beach. Again, thank you so much, Councilman, for taking the time out your schedule. Because look, you've been busy. I know you had a forum or a debate the previous night, which I wanted to ask how did that go? Because I know you got to speak. It was like a Q&A of some sort with the residents.
Yes, I think it was hosted by the Virginia Tea Party, and there was over 100 people in attendance. And I thought it went well. I think all the candidates did their best to try to, answer the questions. And I left feeling pretty solid because it was, home turf for candidate Moss, who has well liked amongst the Tea Party. And I left and felt encouraged that if I didn't win the debate or the forum, I was a close second.
That awesome. Well, that's good to know. So look, I want to mention about just your take on some of your opponents, if you don't mind. Now, as we spoken earlier, incumbent Bobby Dyer, who's current mayor of the city of Virginia Beach, former city council member as well. Richard, I'm having Kowalowicz. There we go. Small businessman out of Virginia Beach. He's also running. You mentioned John Moss, a former city councilman for Virginia Beach, yourself, of course. Cheryl Turpin, a former state delegate. She's a former candidate for, I think she ran for state senate as well as running for city council. And then you also have city councilwoman Sabrina Wooten. What can you say, Chris, about your opponents? You have a really packed ticket for one. Like I said, 6. I think it's the largest race out of all the 7 cities in Hampton Roads. But what can you say about some of your opponents in this race?
Yes, I mean, I live in a free democracy, so anybody that wants to run can run. When I look at our current incumbent, Mayor, again, we talked. He didn't discourage me. He wasn't negative. He was very encouraging. So I left, talked to my wife, really, because most times you don't see that in politics. In terms of Moss, I've said in public, he lost his district race to councilors. I played sports. I won a championship in high school, championship in college. If you don't get out of the district, you don't go to the regional. If you don't get out of the regional, you can't go to the national. And so if you lose your district race, that doesn't look like you're going to do well broadly across the city. And I've said it to him before in public. In 1986 was when he was elected to city council. I was 2 years old. He's had 18 years to do his thing. RK, we, again, pretty direct, try to be truthful. RK and I've had pretty conversations. He told me that he wasn't going to get in the race unless Linwood Branch got in the race. And then he backtracked. John Moss said he wasn't going to get in the race. He didn't get the Republican endorsement. He didn't get the Republican endorsement. He got in the race. Not familiar with Cheryl Turpin and her motivations. I know Councilwoman Wooten. She had a kickoff event on November 8th at Black Eyed Peas for her election to city council. And then after my announcement, 10 days later, she was mayor. So I'd love to people I talk to are having trouble understanding why would you announce a re-election campaign for city council on November 9th and then 30 days later change your mind for mayor. And so I don't know their motivations, but again, it's not my job to judge. But I've been very consistent. I didn't say my candidacy was based on an endorsement from a party. In fact, it's not partisan. So I'm running down the middle. I get calls every day from citizens, Arrington. They don't ask me if I'm a Democrat or Republican. They do ask me when their trash is going to get picked up. So we have to be very cautious with the level of partisanship in these races. I mean, on the Republican side, you have the lieutenant governor, the governor, Congresswoman Kiggins, the Attorney General Mayeres, State Senator Christy Newcraig, State Senator Bill DeSteff, Delegate Cordoza, Delegate Taylor, and Delegate I believe
Oh, hold on, y'all. There we go. Had some technical difficulties. Hold on. Let's bring him on. Bring him on back. He's having some technical difficulties with his sound. So bear with me. The conversation was getting really good. Let's see. We're gonna do a quick commercial break. We'll come back with more here on the Arrington Gavin Show. Don't go anywhere. All right, y'all. Welcome back to the Arrington Gavin Show. We are working with Councilman's connection. I know he had got cut. We had got cut off. We're gonna see if we can get him in for the last. We're about under 9 minutes until this until we're ending. And we know we'll have a follow-up conversation with him if we can't get him back in time. Okay, there he is. Let's see. It says device. Let's see here if we can get him on. Also, we got you back. We got you back, Councilman.
Yeah, not sure what happened, but I mean, at the end of the day, we live in a free democracy. Anybody that wants to run can run. But I do find it troublesome when you have so much partisan influence in a nonpartisan race that's supposed to represent everyone. And in this race, you're going to see, I just saw an announcement that the Democrats, including Lieutenant Governor candidate Aaron Rouse, Delegate Figgins, Delegate Askew, they're all having an event next week to Councilwoman Wooten. So you're going to have the entire Democratic delegation from Richmond getting behind a mayor candidate. Then you have the entire branch getting behind the mayor, the incumbent. Mm-hmm. And then you have Malls, myself, RK, and Turpin. Malls being a Republican, I did officially step away from the local RPVB in April because I saw lack of leadership and integrity. I think you should change the rules the night of an endorsement to get who you want. And I didn't think that was responsible. So running is, and it's going to be competitive year. And I think it's excellent to have so many options. But I think people should be very vigilant and what is taking place. Does it make sense that in the middle of August, the executive branch and the entire delegation on both sides already in the district race, that should at least say maybe this isn't.
Yeah. Well, you know what, and we're sorry. I think the connection's getting bad again, Councilman. But what we will do is having some technical difficulties, man. I tell you, I think it's a storm, y'all. I think it's a storm, and you know what? When I always tell a candidate when they start speaking the truth, when they start speaking facts, the connection starts getting bad. Hold on, we got him.
I'm not sure what's happening.
No, I was just joking with the audience, Councilman. I said, look, when you start speaking the truth and facts, they start messing with the tech. That's what happened. That's what's happening. But I
was too bold.
Look, that's what it is, man. That's what it is. But no, I really, Councilman Taylor, again, I mean, this is not just, me, just, lying to our audience. No, what I've said, I truly do mean as far as just, have respect for you. I want to wish you nothing but the best of luck to your campaign. I admire the fact that you mentioned, hey, look, I'm running as an independent. I've, previously might have these views, but at the end of the day, I'm not going to let party over my full mission, and that's looking out for the community in the city of Virginia Beach. And I totally get it, because here on this program, we're unbiased, we're independent. I've always been very vocal about my position as being an independent. I have friends on all sides of the aisle. I'm not a fan of the two-party system. I have conservative views, I have liberal views. I mean, that's like majority of voters, I would say, kind of lean the same route that I do. It's just at the end of the day, the full base where, what makes the most money too, let's be honest, money is always involved, especially in politics. But I would just say again, Councilman, how can people continue to follow up with you because we have audience members that are not from the area, but also, for your local residents, people in Virginia Beach, and for people abroad, how can people continue to follow you, support your campaign as well? How can they get in touch with you?
Yes, we have a website, christaylor4vb.com, and there's my issues, my background of my family. You can check that out. Call me, 757-752-9144. I'm available, so to just give me a call. I'm running a grassroots campaign, and to your point, I'm used to being outraised and outspent. So this is not about the money, but you can eat through the site or call me. But I do with a quote that really resonated with me, and I every day. And it says, criticism for not going with her. And the quote is that you maintain your self-respect. It is better to displease the people by doing what you know is right than to temporarily please them by doing what you know is wrong. That you may retain your self-respect. We have lost civility in politics. People are willing to do anything to win. And I want to do that committed to being a campaign. People voice matters, and that our community is my priority. Special interests, not donors, not moving up the rank.
Oh, we lost him again. Look, if y'all didn't get that, I want to share with you Chris Taylor for VB.com. It is Chris Taylor for VB.com. That is his website. And please continue to support local officials as well. And again, I think we're having some technical difficulties with his connection, but again, his website is Chris Taylor for VB, Chris Taylor for VB.com. If you would like to know some more about his platform and all that great stuff that we know that we've spoken about here on the show, I will definitely have a follow-up conversation with him because I know we have some technical difficulties going on with the connection, which we're under. We have a storm happening right now. If y'all are not familiar with the hurricane Debbie that's been circulating around the area, so that might have been some of the complications. But like he mentioned, when you start talking bull, you start talking facts, man, they gonna mess with you. They're gonna mess with that connection. So again, my friends, I hope you enjoyed another great conversation here on the Arrington Gavin Show. I'm going to try and find Councilman Taylor to see if everything is all good with the connection, but I definitely want to have a follow-up with him. And we're gonna have a good time. We're gonna have a great time here on the show, and we're gonna continue to have those great conversations with local candidates on a local level, state level, as well as federal level. You never know what you're gonna get in there on the Arrington Gavin program. Until next time, my friends, y'all be easy, stay blessed, stay safe out there, and yes, we are going to continue to speak nothing but facts, man. Nothing but facts. That's what we do here on the program. We speak facts. We don't sugarcoat anything. We're unfiltered. Be sure to continue to tune into the Arrington Gavin Show weeknights, okay? Every evenings on digital platforms and streaming platforms. Our YouTube channel is R Smooth Club Media. You can follow us on Rumble at the Arrington Gavin Show. Follow us as well as on Instagram, and then you can listen to our show on the radio waves at WDJY 99.1 FM Straight Talk weeknights at 11 p.m. as well as WDJYFM.com. Take it easy, my friends. Y'all stay blessed. I'm out.